Is everything here going to be delayed, other than that trial in New York, the hush money payments trial, until after the election?
Well, we don't really know. It all depends when the Supreme Court comes out with its opinion. The arguments are set for third week in April. They could come out with a decision quickly, or it could take time. We have no idea. Jack Smith today in Florida asked that the documents case be scheduled for July. It was originally scheduled for May of this year, but I think all the parties recognize that they still need more time to get this ready for trial. And so Jack Smith has asked for July. Trump has asked for August, or actually his ultimate request is to have this put over until after the election. But he does have a fallback request, which is in August. So I think the judge is going to come out with a decision in the next couple of days. I think the best thing to get all of this moving forward is to have a July date on the classified documents. The trial in New York, which is starting on March 25th, will certainly be completed in probably 4 weeks. And so you go from that into the classified documents next, and then presumably the election interference case. But it really all depends on when the Supreme Court issues its opinion.
Right. Well, and it's, as you say, that the New York case that begins March 25th could be wrapped within 4 weeks. It would be pretty remarkable to consider that the Supreme Court could be hearing arguments about the immunity challenge here in Washington, and Trump could theoretically already be a convicted felon by that point, should they find in Alvin Bragg's favor in that case. Just thinking, though, about the Supreme Court before then, it's worth noting it was weeks ago that the court heard arguments in the 14th Amendment case, Colorado Supreme Court kicking Trump off the ballot on grounds of the insurrection clause, essentially in the United States Constitution. Colorado's primary is on Tuesday. Why have we not heard from the court on that issue yet?
Good question. I think we all got the impression from the oral argument that the Supreme Court, one way or another, was going to evade having to make any kind of real decision on the 14th Amendment that would take Donald Trump off the ballot. I don't think that was the right decision, but it's obvious that's what they're going to do. So I don't think they feel like they're under the same pressure, although they should. They should have felt more pressure with the immunity case, because basically they've given Donald Trump, without any real justification, the ability to essentially delay the trial in D.C., which could have gone ahead immediately after the case in New York. So it's really the Supreme Court's got these cases in its, has the cases, but it's up to them as to when they're going to actually issue their opinions.
Nick, you made your bones on Watergate. What did you think when you saw the headline here from the Supreme Court this week?
I was actually pretty disgusted and disappointed. There is no good legal justification as to why they just didn't defer to the D.C. Circuit. The D.C. Circuit, in the 57-page, well-reasoned opinion, basically said all there is to say about immunity. Now, keep in mind, in Watergate, nobody, nohow, ever even mentioned the idea that we couldn't indict Richard Nixon because he had presidential immunity. I must have had 3 or 4 cases that I was investigating Richard Nixon, and nobody ever came to me and said, gee, you really shouldn't be doing that because he's got presidential immunity. The only reason that Richard Nixon was pardoned by Gerald Ford was because of the concern that he would be indicted.
Well, Nick, is it possible that the D.C. appeals ruling was specific to Trump in the case Jack Smith brought here in Washington, and the court decided to take this case to rule more broadly on the question of presidential immunity so that it never has to be revisited again for any president, not just for Donald Trump?
Well, that's not what the Supreme Court normally does. They do not look at trying to have a broad view of the law on this. This is really limited to very specific facts. The D.C. Circuit limited it to those facts, and the Supreme Court should have just let that stand, because ultimately, after Donald Trump is convicted on that case, they're going to have another opportunity to address the immunity issue on a real record with real evidence. Don't forget, right now, the way this case stands is it's just an indictment. These are allegations. And what the D.C. Circuit decided was that based on these allegations, there was no presidential immunity. Supreme Court should have waited to make their pronouncement on this.
Should have waited, and makes us wonder to what extent they will act expeditiously in the decision that they're going to make here. Nick Akerman, what are the chances that we have a trial that's either underway when people vote or begins in that interim following the election when we have a president-elect?
It's all very possible. We just don't know. There was no reason for the Supreme Court. They delayed even getting a decision out on what they were going to do in terms of granting the appeal to Trump on the immunity issue. They put it over a number of weeks to April, all of which is really outrageous. They could have done this much quicker. So we don't know. I mean, everything is in flux. We don't know what the Florida court is going to do with the dates of either July or August. And those come right in the center of the Democratic and Republican conventions. I mean, we're right in the midst of all of what's going on with our election this year. And you're right, this could all happen just before the election, during the election, or right after the election.